Sin Fronteras Western New York, Buffalo's media platform for Western New York Hispanics,
producing bicultural content that informs, entertains, and inspires the forward thinking.
Sin Fronteras Western New York, delivering bilingual stories,
hot topic conversations,
and the voices from our Latino community.
Sin Fronteras Western New York,
la única producción contemporánea en español
y en inglés en la ciudad de Buffalo. Sin Fronteras Western New York,
your connection to cultural ties in Latin America
and hyperlocal news in the Western New York area.
Sin Fronteras Western New York es para ti.
Welcome y bienvenidos. This is your host, Lorenzo Rodriguez, and welcome to Sin Fronteras Western New York. Well, on today's show, we have they're all special, but this one is special because it's a 2-for-1 special. That's right, it's a buy one, get one free, I guess. We're going to have 2 interviews today. We have 2 guests to present to you on this episode. First off, we're going to get straight to it. We're going to hear from Allison Marcano. She is the head graphics designer for the Buffalo Bisons and the creative mind behind Las Luces de Buffalo. That was the Bisons' Copa de la Diversion identity. She was the one behind all of that, and we're going to hear from her. We're also going to hear from Flor Aber. She's a case manager here in the Western New York area that's currently helping the unhoused and newly settled immigrants here in Buffalo. We'll hear from Flor later on in this episode. I don't know if you're a sports fan, but hopefully you know and you've been watching, but the baseball postseason is in full swing. I'm sorry, I'm a dad, and that bad joke was right there for the taking. But if you know a thing or two about baseball and sports here in the Western New York area, you know that our resident baseball team is the AAA minor league affiliate for the Toronto Blue Jays, the Buffalo Bisons. Fortunately, their 2024 campaign has come to a close, but that doesn't mean we stop talking baseball here. We had the opportunity to speak to their head graphic designer, Allison Marcano, and we speak to Allie about her background, her life as a Puerto Rican national team softball player, that's right, and also her work designing the Bison's very special Luces de Buffalo uniforms and branding that was done recently for this year's minor league baseball's Copa de la Diversion tournament. We recorded this interview just a day after Allie's beloved Mets made the postseason in a crazy, crazy wild card game. Quick sports update. Those same Mets are headed to the NLCS after a very inspired performance by Puerto Rican-born shortstop Francisco Lindor's grand slam. He helped the team defeat the Philadelphia Phillies in Game 4 of the divisional series. Very thrilling stuff. Whether you're a Mets fan or not, that's just good baseball. I'm sure Allie is bouncing off the walls somewhere right now, but hopefully you enjoy our interview with this very talented young lady. Play ball.
We're here.
Let's do it. We're always here, Kaz.
Oh man,
You didn't like my start to this one?
Well, hey, we're going to talk baseball, so it's great to be here.
We're going to talk el juego del béisbol. Us Hispanics truly love the sport of
Estamos
baseball.
Estamos aquí en el parque.
En el parque. I love it. It's Lorenzo and Kaz, the Rodriguezes, the Rodriguez.
No relation. No relation.
And today we are joined by a very exciting and interesting guest. They all are, but I'm very curious about her background because we're talking about baseball, and she's lived it, she's breathed it, she's played it, and now she's people that are in baseball and have the passion for the sport. I feel like it's hard to get away from it. When you're passionate about something, you find your way back to it, even if it takes you away from it. Today we're going to be speaking to Miss Allison Marcano.
Allie.
Yes.
I feel like we're already in the circle of trust already, so we can call her Allie. But it's Allison Marcano. She is the graphic designer for the Buffalo Bisons.
That's big.
That is big.
That's big.
It's minor league, but it's big. It's a one step from the big league. So
and for a Latina to be doing that, it's
right.
big.
That's right.
Recognizing the contributions of Hispanic Americans.
Well, we're gonna get to all of Allie's contributions to our hometown team of the Bisons. But real quick, Allie, you are originally from Middletown, New York. That's
Yes.
a bit of the outskirts of New York City, right?
Yes, it's like right in Orange County.
And you've played ball in high school, in college. You played for the Chanticleers of Coastal
Yes.
Carolina. I'm going to ask you probably what a Chanticleer is for those that don't know.
Chacletas.
No.
That is hold on to that thought. Hold on to that thought. And you played well. I want to tease. There's more to your baseball career, or softball career rather. But right now, currently, you serve, as I mentioned, as the graphic designer for the Buffalo Bisons. Also, welcome to the show. I did the intro and I didn't welcome you to Sin Fronteras Western New York.
Thank you so much. I'm excited. It's
Thank
my
you for
first
being here.
time. Yeah.
First time on radio?
Yes.
Well, we'll be kind and welcoming. No hardball questions here on this one. So, as I mentioned, the Bisons. I guess to start at the most common denominator, for those that have been living under a rock here in Western New York, who are the Buffalo Bisons?
Yeah, so the Buffalo Bisons, they're the AAA team of the Toronto Blue Jays. So there's like 4 different stages before getting up to the big leagues, and so we're the ones right before getting up to the major leagues. So anytime a player gets injured or hurt in the major leagues, they'll come to us.
The rehab players will come down to the Bisons. We got to see Vladdy for a little bit here a few seasons ago. That was exciting. Vlad Guerrero Jr. for those that didn't know. So you've been now with the Bisons, if I'm correct, for the last 3 seasons. You started in February of 2022.
Yes.
I said that you're the graphic designer. How'd you get involved with the Bisons?
Yeah, so previously to this, I was actually a designer for Citibank. It was a contract job. I worked really late night, like 4 p.m. to 12 a.m., and I predominantly worked with people like overseas, so like London, Mumbai, and stuff like that. And I was just looking for something different.
A lot of late night calls.
Yeah.
Hey, we need this graphic now.
And it's morning time like over there, so it was a little off for me sometimes. I'm saying good morning at 11 o'clock at night, so it's definitely different, and I just wanted something different. So I actually came across a Facebook ad, and it was for the Buffalo Bisons to be a designer. So I said, worst that they do is say no. So I applied and then
Why
got
not?
the job.
Finally, Facebook paid off.
Yes, a Facebook ad.
We'll get to your past in baseball because, like I said, when you're passionate about something, you make your way back to the sport. But if you've been around the team and if you know baseball and the minor leagues in particular, you know that there's a yearly tradition now that's started I think in 2017, correct? La Copa de la Diversion.
Yes.
And what exactly is that? If you can summarize for the folks at home.
Yeah, so it represents being the fun cup. So it kind of just ties in with the Hispanic communities, kind of get diversity going through and getting everyone involved. So it was just a way to portray like different things of different teams. So for example, there's a team in New Mexico, they're called the Mariachis. So kind of just tying in with the different cultures, different aspects of that.
Is this the first time the Buffalo Bisons do this?
Yes, this is the first year that the Bisons have done it. I know that they had talks about it during pre-COVID, and then COVID hit, so it kind of postponed it. And then we housed back onto the project this past year.
And the connections between the ball team, Copa de la Diversion, and the Hispanic community.
Yeah, so kind of just tying in, we were just given with, hey, you're going to create an identity for the Bisons. Here you go. Here's a...
You got a blank canvas, right?
Basically, yeah. So they said, we want to be Luces de Buffalo, City of Light. So I said, yeah. And I just had a blank canvas from there, kind of just took it from there and made it my own.
La Copa de Diversion started, I think, in 2017. Originally 4 teams that started off doing this in-season tournament, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And now you've got more than 85 minor league teams in 2024 that have been doing it. And like you mentioned, you helped create the vision, the look of Las Luces de Buffalo. And you kind of insinuated there why it is, but we're the City of Lights, right? We're for those that aren't aware, I guess, of that moniker, that everyone knows us a lot usually with the City of Good Neighbors, but we're known as the City of Lights here in Buffalo because we were home to the 1901 Pan-American Exposition. It's basically what became the World's Fair.
Yes.
The World's Fair, for you non-history buffs, it's where all the countries of the world would come and do an exposition of all their new developments and inventions and things to showcase themselves to the world. And we hosted that back in 1901 at the turn of the century. But the reason we're the City of Lights is because of us being the first to have electrical streetlights. We were powered by the Niagara Falls, and we were able to have enough of an electrical current to run these lights all throughout. And that was the big thing. If you've been downtown, you've seen the light tower, the electric tower. That was at one point lit up like a Christmas tree for this Pan-American Exposition. So that's where the theme came from, correct?
Yes, that's where it originated from.
Allie, as far as this is an audio medium and you work in visuals, but for those listening at home, give us a description how the logo looks, how the uniforms look. Paint us a picture in our minds of how the logo came about and how it looks and just your inspiration for it.
For the cap logo, I went back into the roots of deep Hispanic heritage. I went back to like the Taínos, basically they're like the Native Americans, I guess you could say,
Mm-hmm.
of like the Caribbean islands, kind of use their form of communication and how they written their language and stuff. And so it's very similar to like kind of like Egypt with their hieroglyphics. I took their sun symbol and used that as the symbol for light. So I had that, and then I also incorporated the Buffalo flag around it too, the lightning bolts from it, just to tie in Buffalo with it as well. I figured it'd be a little more inclusive. That way everybody gets involved with it. And then for the jersey itself, Kaz, I remember we talked about doing, we wanted to do graffiti, kind of just symbolize like, you know, the Pan Expedition with the bricks and everything. So I figured graffiti would tie well with it. And inside the L, I put the electric tower actually at the very top and kind of just did the city skyline of Buffalo throughout. And then same thing, I added the Buffalo electric lightning bolts around on the side.
It's a beautiful love letter to the city of Buffalo, I think, because like as you mentioned, there's a lot of little nuances and homages to the city, especially like the inclusion of the lightning bolts from the city flag. I thought that was a nice subtle touch. But
Ali, well, is this the only project that you work with the Bisons on, or is there others?
I do a lot of projects for the Bisons. So I do, this is my first time doing like a big project like this with the jersey and hat. I also help design the locally made jerseys, which is what they wear on like 716 Day. It says Buffalo, and then on the sleeves it has different names of like the Buffalo nicknames. So City of Light, Queen City, things like that. I also do all the social media graphics. I also do the marketing graphics, advertising graphics, basically anything digital. Done a few signage things throughout the park as well. So
You're pretty busy.
yeah. And then
it's a big laundry list of asks. If you have to...
And then in game, I work the actual video board during games. So I wear a
very
headset.
cool, too.
I talk to the video guys. We'll coordinate what to put up on the video board for commercial spots, things like that. So I'll design stuff for in game, like visual entertainment as well.
So what club box is that in the stadium?
Right in the top press box. We're all the way to the right.
Oh, is that where you're at?
Yeah.
Okay. I was wondering where you work out of.
Yeah. Game day, I'm watching the game. Gotta pay attention every time an inning ends. That's when we throw up something for visual entertainment, and we gotta treat it like it's everybody's first Bisons game. So gotta keep things really smooth, really fun.
I just took my two girls to their first Bisons baseball game. Baseball game this past season. So it was a big night for the Rodriguez household because they loved it. My little one, my oldest one rather, little one loved it, but the oldest one already is asking for a glove. So you'll be happy to know that the Bisons have inspired some love of baseball in our household. So.
And they do a lot for all communities.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
You know, they're very diverse, many games. with
Lots of
different-
games.
yeah.
And then they love like the kids. Like Sundays are dedicated for Kids Day, like a family fun day. We'll have like a face painter come out, balloon animals. We have braid babes come out, stuff like that. We have kids run the bases after. So-
Fridays you have fireworks.
Yes. Fridays are fireworks. We also have happy hour. Tuesdays.
Hispanic Heritage Night.
Yeah. That's like we could talk about too. Yeah.
They bring out this one gentleman I know, Casimiro Rodriguez, to throw out the first pitch.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
How was you were there for that?
I
so,
was.
So how was Kaz's first pitch? Did he bounce
Did
it?
you see that? Did you see that, Ali?
I was helping out with video guys trying to coordinate everything for the video board, so I may have watched it from the side.
How was it, Kaz? Did you get it over plate?
It looked good in the picture.
Okay, there we go.
Buster at least caught it.
Yeah.
It's not easy. I'll tell you that much. It's what 60 feet
Yeah.
from the rubber to home plate. That's a lot.
Yeah. La Luces had 3 games.
Okay.
You know, in the first game, I think was the first pitch was by Carlos
Yes.
Tejada,
Yes. And it was his daughter too.
his daughter too, because they were involved in the project with you. Isn't that right?
Yep.
The last game, the third game, I threw out the first pitch.
That's the one that matters.
That's the only one that matters.
And that was great. And that was a nice experience. And what I did is I gave the ball back to Brad because I said, Brad, this ball has some significance, historical significance. And I would like to have all the Latino players on the Bisons sign the ball. And he was able to make that happen.
That's
Look at
awesome.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It goes to show you about the relationship between the Buffalo Bisons and all communities.
And I know the players too, the Hispanic players love the jerseys. Like some of them went and bought like cleats just to match the jerseys, or they bought like the athletic tape just to match like the color of the hat. Like it was pretty cool to see it. And they kept saying, when are we going to wear these again? Like I love these.
Because they're a big departure from the traditional colors of the Bisons, correct?
Yes.
The normal or the primary colors are like your navy blue, royal blue kind of, with red, white, kind of sticking with the same Bills color scheme. But then the Luces you got black, you got that very bright electric blue. I'd say, is that the name? Is that the right name for it?
I call it like an electric like teal blue
Yeah,
color.
yeah.
Yeah. So like I
And
put
the yellow,
some like
a little bit of yellow for the sun and
Yeah.
the lightning bolts. I thought it was a very, like you said, it has a lot of little touches that love letter to the city of Buffalo. So
A lot of pride.
Yep.
A lot of pride for the players.
And it's
Yes.
something that as a sports fan, I know La Copa de la Diversion. I love it because it's a celebration of Hispanidad and the Hispanic influence in the sport. But I love it because of the great logos and minor league team takes on their franchises. Kaz, you said the chanclas. And I had to, or chancleta, I had to look this up because I remember I wanted to hold that thought.
Chanticleers.
The Chanticleers, they're not the chancletas,
No.
Coastal Carolina chancletas, but there is a team in minor league baseball, the San Antonio Missions, and their infamous Copa de la Diversion alternate team were the Flying Chanclas de San Antonio.
Yes.
And it's
Okay.
I'm not.
that?
What's that?
Did you Google
I
it?
know. I Googled the specifics, but I remember seeing this was a few seasons ago. I remember seeing the hat, and it was very popular because their logo was a chancleta, a very brightly lit chancleta flying in the air, and we all know what happens when chancletas or chanclas go flying. So
A lot of teams have fun with it, which is cool. Like you have that. There's a team in Worcester. They're called the Wepas, which is just
there we go.
yeah.
Oh,
So it's
yeah.
kind of cool. There's Lehigh Valley. They're called the Coquis.
Yep.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's pretty cool. Yeah, a lot of teams
It's all
like
part of the La Copa de Diversion.
yes, yeah,
And the Buffalo Bisons, La Luces.
yes, yeah. This is our first year. I know a lot of other teams have been in it for a while, but kind of teams, some take it serious, some kind of just do like history, or some just kind of have fun with it too.
That's great. Ali, let me ask you something. What are we're off season. The season is over. Where do the players go?
The players usually, I think they usually just go home, or I know some like will join like the winter leagues and stuff just to keep playing. So
In Puerto Rico?
in Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic,
has a huge one.
yeah, I think Mexico has one also.
So
So
they keep playing all year
You
round.
got to stay.
kind of just keep sharp for the new season. Yeah.
Okay.
And you,
Yeah,
when
she played softball for Puerto Rico.
we're getting to that.
Yeah, we're going to get into that.
Now, before you discovered the passion of design work, illustrations, your first or your other love, as we've kind of badly hinted at here, baseball, softball.
Yes.
You were quite the accomplished softball player. You've been playing since. Well, I'm gonna let you do your story in baseball. How did baseball find you?
Yeah. So I was born in Queens, Queens, New York. I grew up a big Mets fan. So I followed the Mets heavily.
Exciting time for you right now.
Yeah, so I grew up a Mets fan, and then I remember in school they would always hand out the flyers for Little League, and so I remember bringing it home one day to my parents, like, "Hey, I want to play," and they were kind of nervous at first. They're like, "You're very girly. I don't know if you're gonna want to play." I
You're
love.
gonna get dirty.
Yes, I loved dresses. I loved high heels. I loved makeup. And they're like, "You want to play softball?" I was like, "Yeah." So they signed me up, and I went to lessons from there, and I did really well in high school, and then I even got to play. I did the Little League World Series. I represented New York for that, which was pretty cool.
So you went to Williamsport,
It was in Delaware for softball.
Delaware.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was in Delaware that year.
very cool.
And then after that, when I was around 13, 14, we were at a tournament with my dad, and there was a team from Puerto Rico there. And my dad was like, "Oh my God, like I'm from there. I love the culture, everything. Like I just wanted to say hello." And that kind of just introduced me to playing over there because the coach was like, "Oh, we would love for her to come play over here." And so ever since then, I started playing there every year. I would spend my summers just playing in Puerto Rico. It was so fun. I represented the island Arecibo, which was nice. And then I had made the Junior Olympic team, which was pretty cool. And
Pretty cool.
You even won a medal.
yes, I did.
I was about to
So
say
How
that's
did that feel?
it was really, really cool. We were, it was the WBSC. It was in Clearwater, Florida. I got to play against every team, China, Japan, USA, Australia. We played every single softball team there. And we ended up getting third in the world, which was pretty cool. So I ended up with a bronze medal.
pretty cool. That's very
So
cool.
we have a bronze medal.
We have a
winner.
bronze medalist and a junior
That lives
Olympian.
here in Western New York.
Junior Olympian.
Yes.
Now, position you played, you're a pitcher.
Yes.
You're southpaw.
I'm lefty. Yes.
You're a lefty. What was it that drew you to being a pitcher? What was it that drew you to say this is the position I want to do?
So growing up, like my dad always told me like he played baseball. My dad was a pitcher also. So I kind of just followed into his footsteps, and then I just really like fell in love with it. Just the game, everything, and just getting so caught up, and I enjoyed it so much. So
Now, your dad probably played baseball.
yeah.
Fast pitch softball, completely different, different mechanics.
Yeah.
Still similar, but very different. How was that? Was he your biggest fan, but also your coach?
Oh
as well?
yes. Oh yes. My dad was definitely tough on us growing up. Like with softball, like we had to go throw outside every day. We were hitting outside every day. We would work out. He made me do P90 for the first time when I was 13.
You said us.
Oh, my sister. So my sister also plays softball too. She plays in college right now. She plays at St. Thomas Aquinas.
What town is your dad from in Puerto Rico?
He's from Tualta.
Toalta.
Yes.
So you played for what?
So Tualta didn't have a softball team, so that's why I played for Arecibo, which was the next closest one. So
Okay.
yeah.
Let's start at the beginning. What is your earliest baseball memory?
Earliest baseball memory, good or bad?
Both.
With the Mets, I don't know. There's some good and bad.
For me playing, my first bad memory, my first time ever pitching, I threw the ball over the backstop and hit my mom's car.
Oh,
I did. She was not happy.
How old
she's
were
like,
you
this
then?
softball thing better pan out.
Yeah.
because-
I think I was 9, 10 at the time. And I was like, I want to try. That was the first time I ever tried to pitch. And I hit it from my mom at first because she didn't see it. We went to Walmart after. I said, oh, man, someone hit the side with the cart. Who did that?
But you didn't give up.
Nope, I did not give up. Continued through.
And the best memory, earliest best memory.
Best memory, honestly, I have so many. I won Little League. We went all the way to the World Series, so that was pretty cool. Also, too, like we won section championship for high school. That game was super big. I threw a one-hitter, which was pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Not an easy feat, a one hitter. That's
yeah.
You were like, oh, if only that one.
Well, I just remember it was so hot, and it was the first hit of the game, so I was so scared. Like, oh, this is how this game's gonna go.
Oh, so you got it out of the way.
Yeah, and then after that,
okay.
yeah. And then even just the whole experience with Team Puerto Rico, like my teammates, not a lot of them spoke English, so it helped me learn the culture a bit. I'm only half Puerto Rican, so I was able to get my Spanish to be better and things like that. And just being able to meet other people from other teams. Like I got to hang out with girls from China, from India, from Japan, so that was pretty cool too to experience their cultures.
So softball, like we mentioned, a big passion. Your other passion, design work. When did you go from baseball to graphic design?
Yeah, so growing up, when I was like 11 or 12, my dad used to mess around with Photoshop and kind of just make like fun posters of me pitching, and kind of like how you have the Derek Jeter poster in your room. He would make one of me, and he's like, "Look, this could be you," and I'm like, "Oh, that's so cool." So that's what really tied me into. My dad really got me into graphic design, which was really cool. So seeing myself like when you're 12 on a poster is like, holy crap, that's so cool.
And now you do it for a living.
And now I do it for a living.
So
Yeah.
your dad designs as well.
Yes, and he would do it for fun, like kind of just like as a hobby. Like
As
he
a
would.
supportive dad would.
Yes, yeah. He would just kind of dabble in it, kind of
Make
just
the baseball
YouTube videos.
cards.
Yeah.
Yep.
Make little posters from our rooms and things like that. It was pretty cool. He was a proud dad for making Team Puerto Rico. So.
Do you have any advice for anyone listening that would like to get into this field?
I highly recommend internships. Just keep applying. Like I did, I applied to this job not knowing like if I would get it or not, and I was just the worst that they do is say no. So I always just say go for it, just shoot for it, and keep trying for the best.
Ali, apart from your design work with the Buffalo Bisons, do you do anything with the community?
I work with Latinas Evolving, which is really cool. So Dareen is awesome to work with. Yeah, she's awesome to work with. I do some fun like marketing stuff with her sometimes. So yeah.
And you just start to do that, or?
Yeah, so the way I met her, actually, her team had came out for a Bisons game last year, and I saw that it was Latinas Evolving. I was like, I new to the area, like I would love to be a part of it. I slid in her DMs on Instagram and asked her, hey, my name is Ali, I'm so-and-so. And she thankfully responded, and the rest is history.
Heady play by you. Heady play.
What a great connection.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Thankful for it.
what do you do for Latinas Evolving?
I help out with some of her marketing stuff, so I'll help create like some social stuff. I know she creates most of it, but I'll help like with some creative intake and things like that. And then the magazine, I kind of helped her with some of the stuff in the magazine too.
Nice. I seen they published their Hispanic Heritage edition.
Yes.
You had a lot to do with that.
Yes, I was on the front cover.
Hey, very modest guest that we have.
I was on the
here.
front cover with them as well.
An
So
Olympian, a front cover story. So how was that? I mean, you're highlighted for, I'm assuming for your work with the Bisons, the Luces de Buffalo. How was it? Was that your first time on a magazine cover? You've been on the cover of probably a fake cover of Sports Illustrated, because every dad gets that cover for their child. But you're on a real publication cover story. How was that experience?
oh, it was so cool, especially like just to see it out there and like seeing people share it and post it here and there. Like, oh, look how cool this is. Come read this. It was so cool to see. And like the people that we work with, like I consider it like their front office. Like everybody's so nice, so cool. And just to see everything come together was amazing.
How does it feel to be Latina?
Feels amazing. I feel on top of the world. You don't see many like females in the front office, let alone Latina. So it's nice to represent that part too.
And you mentioned, so your father's Puerto Rican, your mother is Italian and
Korean. Yes.
So multicultural family.
Yes.
How is it that, I have a feeling you kind of spoke about it, but how do you really tap into your Hispanic roots, your Hispanic culture, and how does that coexist with the Italian and Korean cultures? Because those are three strong identities there.
Yeah. So thankfully, like religion is like pretty heavily similar, which is nice. And then just growing up, like I grew up around my Puerto Rican side more so. So all the fun things that we used to do and like Three Kings Day, things like that. I love that. My dad just always instilled it. Grew up listening to salsa, bachata, reggaeton. I absolutely love. So it was pretty cool. And then my mom also like picks up on everything. And then being married to my dad for so long, she just knows things very well too. So just a very multicultural home, and Thanksgiving is always very good. So
Oh, that's yeah. I didn't even think about the food.
Yeah.
Just a smorgasbord of all three cultures
Every culture.
coinciding. That's a good spread. I'm envisioning.
oh yeah.
Do you go to Puerto Rico quite a bit?
Yes, I go very often. So growing up, I would go and play there every summer. I would stay for the summers and play softball. And then now, because playing slowed down a bit, I go just to visit family, catch up. I'll bring my friends to kind of be their tour guide. So it's pretty cool.
It's nice.
And for this is no particular audience. As a father, I was trying to disguise it, but as a father who has girls and loves sports, and I want to bring them into the world of sports, I think they're finding it on their own. But I guess for future athletes, female athletes, and softball players, what can you impart on them?
Yeah, so honestly, I just tell them, like, just go for it, do what you love. If you enjoy, if you want to go out there and throw a ball, you go out there and throw a ball. What inspired me was just a flyer in school. So if they see like other people doing it too, just show them like college softball games, things like that, kind of inspires them to play. And then just seeing like I'm done with softball, but I'm still in sports world, which is really nice. So kind of just keep going with it.
And you mentioned you love the Bisons, but you're also a Mets fan.
Yes.
It's going to be an interesting postseason. They squeaked in with a wild card win against the Brewers, a very thrilling one.
Pete Alonso.
And now Pete. And now they're heading into the NLDS. How do you see this run?
With the way last night went, I have no idea. We have great hitting one day, bad hitting another, great pitching one day, bad pitching another. So it's just up, and at this point, it's just it's into God's hands at this point. So I'm just gonna hope for the best and be the OG Mets fan that I've always been. So
That's a good sportsman.
Is there a player that you've looked to to model your playing style? Is there an inspirational player in your past?
Yeah, so I had two favorite Mets players of all time. So one was Carlos Delgado, and which was nice because he was also a Blue Jays player too. I just admired him like as a person and as a player. Like he was just a great person on and off the field. He was a monstrous hitter, amazing hitter. And then the other player was Johan Santana. I loved him. Threw the no-hitter for the Mets. I have his jersey still. Doesn't fit, but I still have it. And those were my top two. And then just kind of, he was a pitcher, and I saw how he handled situations with like if it's bases loaded, if it's nobody on. I want to be like that. So
I'm not gonna say my baseball allegiance because it's a sad, miserable one, like a lot of other fans, and they're not in the postseason, so I'm a Marlins fan. Good luck with your Mets and their opponents. Another NL East rival, the Phillies.
yes.
And what else can you tell us about what's coming up with your work with the Bisons? Where can folks see? Do you do anything outside of graphically outside of the Bisons that you can promote?
Really, we're just getting stuff ready for the next year, kind of just get things ready for 2025. Right now, since it was such a long season, everybody's kind of just getting their things together, and then we'll hop right back into it, getting things ready. And then now with this off season coming, I use this time a lot to like visit my family just because baseball season gets so heavy. And then I also give softball lessons to little kids over at 21 Outs in Williamsville.
So Allie, with the 21 Outs,
Yes.
that's girls, boys, mainly girls?
It's mainly girls. It's predominantly softball training just because a lot of places in Western New York is predominantly baseball, or they offer softball training, but there's not a ton of like softball instructors. So I had worked with Sam Weaver, who created 21 Outs to kind of make an environment safe for like girls. Everything's super cute, girly, softball mainly focused. So it's pretty cool. And I do ages all the way from like 8 to like 16. So.
And I mean, that's got to be a full circle moment, right? Going from a young girl who saw a flyer and wanted to, and that was the spark, but you're still seeing a good amount of youth, primarily female youth, still interested in the game, correct?
Definitely, yeah, especially with the rise of like college softball now, like people seeing it now on, like when I was in college, like I got to play on ESPN maybe a handful of times, whereas now it's like a little more often. Like now we can actually watch college softball a lot more often, and girls are like, wow, look, like I want to do that. So it's definitely a growing sport.
We're celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month.
Yes.
What's your message for our audience?
Oh man, that's a hard one. I gotta think.
You're first generation, like myself, first generation Hispanic American, right? So what would you tell other
first generation folks or second generation, because now I'm old enough to have kids that are now, I guess, second generation Hispanic Americans. They have Rodriguez. They don't look like Rodriguez's, but they have the Rodriguez name. So what would you impart on others in the same boat?
I really recommend just seeing like for example, a lot of people will just be like, oh, it's just me. I'm not going to make a difference, when just like if you keep going for what you want to do, you'll make the biggest impact possible. Like if you would have asked me 5 years ago that I'd be designing a jersey and hat to represent Hispanic heritage, like I would have told you you're crazy. So just know that every little step you make is going to be a huge impact no matter what you do. So.
And you have made a big impact.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Indeed. Ali,
Thank you.
thank you so very much for joining us on Sin
thank you for
Fronteras.
having me. Thank you so much.
And what is a chanticleer?
A chanticleer is like a bird. It's supposed to be like a rooster. So
Not a
chancleta.
It's close.
Close.
It sounds very similar, yes.
Chancleta, el gallo.
Many, many thanks to Allison Marcano for the time to talk about her many passions, inspirations, and baseball. Now, if you've been listening to our program, you know that we place a special emphasis on the stories and the challenges that our recently resettled Hispanic refugees and immigrants are facing throughout the country, but primarily in our neck of the woods. Our next interview is with Flor Aber. Flor is a Columbian-American who works here with the unhoused and immigrant population of Western New York, and she helps them to find affordable housing and employment while facing all the other myriad of challenges unique to those emigrating from a Latin American country. It's a very insightful conversation we had with an individual doing some real good in our community. Y por favor, perdóname por mi español, que no es tan perfecto. But hopefully you enjoy this conversation with Flor. And welcome back to Sin Fronteras, Western New York. This one's going to be an interesting one because you're going to hear yours truly. Really, we're gonna do a Spanglish interview, but I'm going to really try to make our guests at home in Spanish. So it's her dominant language. It's my first language, and it should be a lot more refined and polished. But we're going to get through this, Flor. We're going to get through this. I'd like to welcome first and foremost Flor Aber. She is a case manager for one of the organizations here in the Western New York area, primarily dealing with Hispanos, Latinos in nuestra área, trying to get them situated, helping them with resources, whether it be housing or employment, the things that we as established Americans sometimes take for granted, how difficult it is to do. It's difficult, I think, already for people from the United States to get a job and to find suitable housing. But coming from another country, when you have things like document issues, language barriers, I got to imagine that immensely increases the difficulty level of that of execution. So thankfully, we have people como la señorita Flor Aber que ayudan a esos hispanos que vienen a esta región para establecerse, para tener familias, para tener empleo. Flor, bienvenidos a Sin Fronteras.
Thank you very much. Muchas gracias, Lorenzo.
Flor, ¿cómo puedes describir su empleo, su trabajo, sus obligaciones? ¿Qué es lo que usted hace aquí en Western New York?
I work for an organization that the majority of the clients are Spanish and Latino origin, but any person is welcome to come to our agency because we don't have any special.
You don't ask for show me your Hispanic card.
No. Everybody is welcome, and we try to help them in the way we can.
And with what services? ¿Con cuáles servicios?
We had different services, but we are one of the most important providers for domestic violence counseling. We had our housing department that in the last 5 years had been, growing so much. We started with that program. Now we have like 5 programs in this moment for housing, different programs for different funders. We had urban development, housing urban development. We had Department of Health too, helping us, with housing. And another program that we work with another agency, like a case management for health. We had that agency that we are providers for that agency too, that we offer case manager for healthcare.
Let's say I'm somebody let's say I'm an immigrant from Venezuela. Just it's a hot button country, I guess, and that's where my mind went to. But let's say I just moved here to Western New York from Venezuela, and I'm just overwhelmed by the language, by just everything how to get my footing here in Western New York. I go to someone like yourself, and then where do you start? Where do you begin with that individual?
But we are an agency who are funded we have government funds. and we work together with the government. The person who arrived from whatever place, in New York City or Jamestown, or they can be American too, Native American, any person that's it. They had to go to the Department of Social Service. They offer them the probability that the same day we place in a shelter or place in a hotel, because in this moment the situation is
Legally, they have to place
Yes.
somebody somewhere.
yes,
If they are
Yes,
unhoused,
it's
they
an
have to-
obligation
yeah.
of them. Some people doesn't know that and they accept it no as an answer, but no, they had the obligation.
So I wanted to talk about this a little bit later on, but we're kind of already in that in there. You are also serve as an interpreter for Journey's End.
Yes.
So my mind immediately goes to the wave of immigrants that we received in about a year ago almost from New York City, and then originally or point of origin being I think Texas or other parts, Florida. I think a lot of these states that were trying to prove something politically were busing up immigrants that have crossed into the country. They're busing them up to New York City. We heard all about that. So you were seeing a lot of these immigrants firsthand within that time frame. We were talking right before the interview about COVID and how that exacerbated and caused a lot of trouble when it comes to rent and the cost of
Yes.
living. So tell me some of those stories. Tell me some of what you were seeing in that whole period of time.
Buffalo was a paradise for cheap rental and for flat places before COVID. Oh, we used to get a wonderful, nice apartment for $500 before COVID. The placements to get apartments for homeless were very easy to find with a good prices, no problem. But after COVID, Buffalo changed totally.
Affordable living kind of disappeared.
Yes. We now, I was telling you, I'm desperately looking for a 5-bedroom house for one of my families, and they are between $1,500 and $2,000. How the people who doesn't have, a good incomes, and that we were talking for you and for me, $2,000
for a run-of-the-mill
a month.
person. That's tough as it is, and I can't imagine somebody who just came here.
$2,000 is an impossible.
a lot.
Yes, it's a lot. It's more than the income. The majority of these people doesn't have a job because they had too many barriers. They had languages. They don't speak English, or they don't have enough skills to find a job. The majority are women who are the head of the household. They are women. They had to be at home with the children because you have 5-6 children. Who will take care of them?
And how do you pay for daycare if you can't even pay for
two or for
rent?
one?
Yeah.
Yes, impossible. So we had to work with all these barriers. We try to overcome all these barriers that the people that we serve have.
So how do you do that? How do you go about? I mean, I feel like you're doing a very vital job that goes unspoken about. I wonder about this all the time too, especially when we mentioned that period of time when this wave of immigrants came to Buffalo. Who was helping them? And we mentioned Journey's End as part of the refugee coalition that has been formed here, and they're doing fantastic things. There's Jericho Road. There's 5 in total, but
they are different organizations, but the advantage of some of these immigrants right now, for example, the Venezuelan, I know this because I work for this organization. They can get as soon they arrive before August of the last year, they can get the Social Security, the
because
job.
they get that they're refugees. They come from United Nations or the U.S. have designated them a refugee
or
case.
They are in the process
special...
to get the TPS, the temporal.
Now, if they're asylum seekers, it's a totally different story,
Yes.
and that's a lot more rigorous.
More complicated.
So, are you helping those?
No, I don't work with that. No. For me, the important work here is homeless.
Okay.
The Samara who they are come from, they don't have a bed to sleep. They don't have a ceiling over their head. This is the word, that the definition of homeless.
And so you're seeing also folks from actual quote-unquote Americans here also facing that issue.
Yes.
And I got to imagine...
I told you the number right now, in this moment, last week, 6,400.
Within the city of Buffalo. Wow.
City of Buffalo.
And we have some shelters, but I got to imagine not enough?
No. Not enough.
What do you do when you get to now, I hate to say it, Old Man Winter is right around the corner. What do you begin to do when you have to start finding shelter for these individuals?
In this moment, the government is very, very concerned about. They are offering the agencies that we work together. They offer a lot of funds to open shelters.
Okay.
But something that's happening in Buffalo. Buffalo is an old city. We don't have too many buildings that we can put us
And
up.
if there is space, they have to be retrofitted. They have to be brought up to code. And
Very difficult situation. And next winter, we thinking about how, because the cold blue will be very, very hard to handle this
And we
year.
saw that not last year, but the year before that with the bad blizzard.
The
and
2022.
And some of those individuals were unhoused individuals that had nowhere to go. And I applaud you for the work you're doing, because it's once again, I think some of it is unspoken. We talk about the idea of immigration as being this, folks are just coming to this country, and we don't see the specifics, the nuance. I don't think we do nuance very well. Los detalles que viene yo hablé con un señor de Nicaragua. Yo no sabía la mitad de las cosas que estaban pasando en Nicaragua, ni cuando llegó aquí a los Estados Unidos, pasando por el Río Grande, llegando de Texas a Nueva York a Buffalo, y empezando el proceso de naturalización, que no es fácil. También las personas piensan, they'll get your citizenship and you'll be fine.
No.
That's a whole process.
It's a very hard process.
I had to go through it with my parents, who were at the time Hispanoparlante. They still are kind of mostly Spanish speakers, but you have to take a test. You have to know. You have to do social studies 101 with them and know who the first president was.
I remember my test for the citizenship was an easy test. I used to, the 50 states, the color of the flag. No.
Yara,
No. For myself.
Right.
This guy was very hard with me. I remember he asked me in that time, what was the first African American Supreme Court judge?
Justice. Wow.
Oh, I know, because what happened a little bit ago, but the questions were very hard on myself. So, I passed.
You got the AP naturalization test.
No, it wasn't easy, my test. But it's something that we had to confront it,
And that's still going on. That's still the process.
We confronted. But I say, for me or for our agency, the housing program, we had to work thinking in the word homeless. Homeless. It doesn't matter what they come from. They can come from Buffalo, Lockport. They come from Jamestown. They from everywhere. We had homeless everywhere.
But it is another added layer of complexity when you are a refugee
or
a asylum seeker, and you don't have todos los documentos, all the documents you need.
I will tell you. You can imagine it's the same hardship for Americans, because this population, the same. They had it. I know they born in America. They had the birth certificate somewhere, but when
but where do you have it? Where do you don't have you're not going around when you're in dire straits and you're on the streets. You don't have a box of your documents with you.
No. You carry.
You don't have a mailbox to get.
You carry a backpack with all your things. You carry everything in a little backpack. This is your life. Everything is there. You don't have social security. You don't have birth certificate.
Your pay stubs. You don't have that.
No, nothing. Nothing is there.
So how do you start helping somebody in those cases? How do you? I mean, I guess kind of walk me through.
I'll just say many seems like we had to put like the blueprint to start to overcome the homelessness. We do everything possible. Say the first intake, we received intakes about the assessment they did. How hard is the homeless? It's a document that is, the name is BSP Day. When we receive that document, we see this 14 is too high. 10, we had.
So there's levels.
Levels.
Degrees of
homeless.
Of poverty and homelessness.
Yes, it's degrees. And when we started receiving, we work and start myself with the people that we work. But my job, the most important job for myself, is go to the community and start getting a landlord, a property that they are decide to work with us.
You start knocking on doors literally and start asking, hey, I have this family, I have this individual, I need them in a house for soon.
This is my job, because my program name is Rapid Rehousing. We have to be very fast.
Yeah. In the meantime, people are on the streets.
Yes.
And it's difficult. So you have to see it firsthand. How does somebody that's homeless get employment to then it's a vicious cycle, right?
Yeah. We the advantages that we have funds to pay for them. We pay the first month security deposit. Depending on them, we help with them. If they had a job, we help with some part. But sometimes they cannot find a job because they don't have job skills, or they don't work, or they don't have transportation. To go to the one of the most important restaurants now is coming to the city, and they are desperate for people, but they are located around Galleria Mall, but not in the mall. Someone there, and the bus doesn't go there. You have to walk like 5-6 blocks. We can walk now, but in wintertime will be very difficult.
You can bike and walk, but then when it's 40, 30 degrees.
We provide bus passes for them. They can go until they start to go. We provide that. We provide some clothing for them for when they request special boots or something. We provide that too.
So what would you say what's the main way that us that are not in these circumstances, what's the best way that we can help or get involved?
But for us, the most important is the community. The people knows that we had homeless people. They open the doors. I sometimes thinking, for example, if you had an extra room, why don't start doing this in our countries, in Latinoamérica? Es muy popular de rentar un cuarto. Pero acá todo el mundo tiene miedo. Yeah. No, esa persona me puede matar. Esa persona me va a hacer algo. Pero we need that. Sometimes, a person who is an elder, they don't have too much money. They live for Social Security. Social Security is $900 a month, the promedio for a person, an elder. Why don't help to, rent a room? Some people had too much that they can give. They had sometimes, spaces that we need in this moment. They say it's too much competence. The prices are very high because we had too much demand.
Yep. That's everywhere. Yeah.
Everywhere. Yes. But here wasn't like that. But now we had this situation with immigration. Like we had to work so hard to get apartments, to get rooms, to get anything that people can sleep with a ceiling over their head. We need it. And say the community had to understand that this is an emergency. Like in Jamestown, New York, they had an emergency because they didn't have more space. If they sent all these people to Buffalo, like 2 or 3 buses. Now they are here in Buffalo.
And trying to figure something out. And thankfully, there's folks like Flor here that are helping with that. That's amazing.
And I say, I want to, sometimes it's life is like tough. I
putting it mildly, Flor.
¿Ah?
Eso lo está poniendo mildly.
Sí. Pienso que la vida no es fácil para nadie. Es a veces muy difícil. But, myself, I believe my team, we do everything possible for these people can get housing, get a job.
You're also, I want to touch on the component of the other side of it, which is employment. Because you find them a home, they're situated, but then maintaining that home,
yes,
you need a job.
You need employment.
And what are the hurdles there, I assume, are documentation and work authorization, right?
Yes, Social Security. How they can. But the companies in Buffalo, I can say they are open for those owners because they know the people.
Is there certain service industries that are
the majority of the industries like hotels and tourism and restaurants, they are very open to these clients that we had. It's not them, but some of the people, the language barrier killed them.
Yep. Y ustedes,
we had to do everything possible. I say we do it. We try to go to the companies. They had a lot of the Spanish speakers. They can be able to speak with them, and they can help them. Sometimes I say transportation is a big issue. Yeah. We had companies here big, like Amazon. We had 2 warehouses at Amazon, but they are located in
Tonawanda.
In Tonawanda, Depew.
Depew, yep.
Very hard
Very
access.
Far, hard to access.
They are always desperate poor people. More that Christmas
are they
is
working
coming.
with the employment with employees?
Yeah, we are. They don't have the problem to receive our people, because it's very easy. They can read some English, they can do things. But the problem with them is the location, transportation, the schedules. Doesn't match with the schedule. They had. If you want to go to the Lancaster warehouse for Amazon, you have to take like 3 buses.
¿Cómo uno se sostiene así?
¿Cómo sostiene?
Pagando la renta, pagando el bus. Yeah, that's
very hard. Very hard to do.
I mean, we spoke about the big 2, but what would you say what are we not seeing, or what is the biggest obstacle that we're not really talking about for anybody that is in these conditions, in an unhoused or immigrant status position? Like, what is it that we are not seeing? What is the one thing we said? A roof over the head and work. But ¿qué más nos falta hablar y saber?
You touch a little bit that. How about daycare?
Yeah.
Exactly the same happened before COVID. We had too many, good daycares for children. Now they are gone. We don't
expensive.
Yeah, they are.
It's expensive for Anglos. It's expensive for those that have.
But you found
affluence.
I don't. I don't have children in that age. But you had to wait months, years, for to be in one of these daycares.
Lotteries.
Yes.
I fortunately got one of those lotteries for one of our daughters, and I thank my lucky stars because daycare is a skyrocketing cost for everybody in this country. And I can imagine, we mentioned about this right before the interview, we were talking off the air, and a family with 4 children, a mother with 4 children, you can't just say, hey, little kids, stay here by yourselves. I'm gonna go. No, you need you need to be there with them. If you can't afford daycare, you're gonna have to, and that does not allow you to have employment.
No,
or
you have to
restricts
depend. You have to depend on the, social service, for the government help. You have to depend on them.
And would you say that's an area that we really need to?
Pues it's something the government has to do, or something Pero
Are there anything now in those cases? Let's say you had a mother with 4 children that single mother that
they cannot work. How it's very difficult.
Y no hay servicio al momento que
no.
puedan
Welfare help, but you have to wait like 3 months before they can provide the help. If
So
you are decided to go to work, they can cover that.
It's una lástima, really. It's very tough circumstances. We were talking before how usted es colombiana, yo soy de padre cubano, and we each get here how we get here, but the circumstances that once you get here that are not spoken about, everyone expects, the immigrants are hardworking people, they'll get to work, they'll find their job.
No.
It's not that simple.
No.
And the systems in place have not allowed it to become easier for them.
No.
On the contrary, I would say.
It's not easy for them or for the people like immigrants. Like your family was immigrant and myself I'm an immigrant. No, it's not easy. It's not easy. Pues I had skills for my country, but I saw too many of the people who come from another countries. They don't have skills really to offer to the employers here, or they don't know how to drive. They don't have cars.
Yeah. Es otro también, la licencia, manejar, las reglas de la calle, la carretera, todo.
Yeah, they had to, sometimes they don't have the money for that.
I would say it's akin to getting somebody born and raised here in America and just dropping them in Japan or somewhere foreign and saying, hey, have at it, make it. And some people, I'm sure, could find a way, but it's not easy.
Pero eso es la maravilla de vivir acá. ¿Sí? Porque ustedes ya segunda generación, yo soy primera generación, hemos tenido que luchar estas batallas que nos hacen muy fuertes. Yo se lo dije anteriormente, yo era una niña bien de Colombia, una niña bien de Bogotá, pero vivir en Estados Unidos me ha dado fortaleza, me ha hecho crecer, me ha hecho ser la persona que soy, que no tengo miedo a afrontar lo que venga, que para mí el éxito de uno de mis clientes es el éxito mío. Entonces esto me ha hecho ser, este país es maravilloso, y cuando la gente viene acá y empieza como, ay, ¿yo para qué me vine? ¿Yo para qué estoy acá? Porque aquí es la tierra de la oportunidad. Eso es la verdad. Usted acá si no sale adelante es porque no quiere. Pero los Estados Unidos es la tierra de las oportunidades. Y para eso usted se vino, para eso usted cruzó la selva del Darién, para eso usted vino en la lancha de los Marianitos. Porque este país sí realmente ofrece la oportunidad de que usted salga adelante.
Para ponerle un pin a nuestra conversación, si hay alguna manera o alguna sugerencia suya de dónde podemos ayudar, dónde podemos ir, o si necesita uno que está viendo esto, si necesita la ayuda, ¿dónde puedes recomendar que vayan?
Es importante que las personas cuando estén en estas situaciones acudan a los servicios sociales del estado de New York. Ese es el primer step que las personas tienen que hacer.
Ir a social services.
Social services. Ese es el primer step de cualquier persona que tenga cualquier necesidad.
Y ojalá ellos pueden poner.
Ellos pueden ayudarle y ellos lo conducen. O sea, eso no es un comercial para social, pero es así. Ese es el first step. Si usted debe renta, por ejemplo, puede ir a que ellos le ayuden o le orientan quién le puede ayudar a conseguir su renta. Si usted no tiene comida, ellos le proveen food stamps. Ese es el primer paso que usted tiene que hacer, sea de donde sea americano, sea colombiano, chileno, hondureño. Ese es el primer paso que usted debe seguir. No se quede pensando, como venimos de países que el gobierno no tiene ninguna clase de ayuda, pues pensamos que acá es igual. No, acá hay ayudas, acá se puede salir adelante. Aquí no se va a morir de hambre.
Es sabiendo que hay ayuda. Eso lo
sí,
que uno no sabe, pero sabiendo que hay recursos y sabiendo dónde ir, pero empezando primero con social services y ellos
ese es el primer paso. Ese es el primer paso y de ahí ya van generando los recursos para saber qué es lo que usted tiene que hacer.
Nosotros que tenemos los recursos, ¿cómo podemos ayudar? Abrir las puertas, ¿qué más?
No, pues la comunidad en general, por eso estamos hablando de cuando usted ve a una persona, sí, que sabemos que se necesitan apartamentos, sabemos que se necesitan locales, sabemos que se necesitan estos sí, para mí Yo le digo, yo tengo secretos para conseguir mis apartamentos. Por ejemplo, las tiendas de barrio. Es uno de los principales, de mis principales recursos, ¿sí? La gente sabe que hay, están rentando en tal parte. Ese es uno de mis principales, de la comunidad, ¿ves? La comunidad que va a esa tienda, ahí ellos saben quién está. Ese es uno de mis, yo voy a todas las tiendas, en todas las tiendas me conocen. La señora, sí, la señora de pelo largo, sí, ella. Yo siempre estoy buscando.
Insider information que
Sí,
está
eso es, sí, eso es bien importante. Y estas, la mayoría de esas tiendas son de la comunidad árabe, si se sabe. De la comunidad árabe, de la gente iraquí o de Yemen, mucha gente de Yemen, o de la gente de Pakistán. Sí, no son ni siquiera de nuestra misma cultura, son diferentes culturas, pero ellos también ayudan a este proceso. Por eso te digo, vivir en Estados Unidos es una dicha por eso.
La ayuda está ahí y siempre hay una mano
siempre
extendida.
está, siempre. Esa es la confianza que tenemos que tener.
Sí. Ojalá que los que están oyendo esto, si necesitan la ayuda, lo pueden encontrar con lo que hemos hablado aquí. Los que tienen los recursos, ojalá que extienden esos recursos y la mano a los que lo necesiten. Y a usted, Flor, le doy la mano en agradecimiento por estar aquí en Sin Fronteras y por dándonos tan buena información hoy.
Gracias, Lorenzo. Eso para mí es un placer.
Y gracias thank you for dealing with my rough Spanish. It's not broadcaster Spanish. I said it off the top
thank you.
of this program.
Thank you too for handling my hard accent in English.
This is what I envisioned our show being, a place where we can have these conversations that are important, but in whatever language we can.
Eso es another advantage to be in the United States. No, it's only English. We speak different language. You understand each other with English. But
beautiful thing.
We speak different language.
Flor,
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure to be here. I enjoyed too.
Bueno, ojalá que mi madre no esté oyendo este episodio porque las críticas que me va a dar de mi español van a ser no muy favorables. But in all seriousness, our very special thanks to Flor Aber for her time, for sharing her experiences with us surrounding our newly settled Buffalo immigrant and impoverished communities. But that just about does it for our program this week. But before I go, I would like to remind everyone about one last event taking place next week with our good friends here at Buffalo Toronto Public Media. Next Saturday, October 19th, we cap off this year's National Hispanic Heritage Month in style with a very special American Historia Heritage Celebration. Now, this is a free event that's going to take place from noon to 4 p.m. that Saturday at the Buffalo Toronto Public Media Building in downtown Buffalo at 140 Lower Terrace. We're going to be having some free food, live performances, special screenings of the PBS series American Historia, along with some Western New York-centric Hispanic vignettes. Also, a panel discussion with some standout individuals from our Hispanic community. You don't want to miss this. Once again, this is a free event, open to the public, but you do need to register in advance. Very important. So to do so, head over to WNED.org/events and register to enjoy this very fabulous experience. And not to mention, yours truly is going to be in attendance and emceeing the festivities. So we hope to get to see as many of you out there. Pero mil gracias por estar aquí con nosotros hoy. Hope you've enjoyed this week's episode and all the special programming provided this Hispanic Heritage Month. We will continue celebrating nuestra cultura next week on Sin Fronteras. Pero hasta entonces, mucho amor y cariño. Peace. Nos vemos.